Hey everyone, my name's Ali and welcome back to my channel, Mindful Living. In today's video, I'm diving into some of the most common garden pests like caterpillars, slugs, and earwigs, and the damage they can cause in your garden. This is actually the first year I've had multiple plants affected by different pests. When I was growing in containers on my balcony, I rarely had any issues with pests, so this is a new experience for me. I normally share the highlights and wins of my garden, but gardening isn't always perfect or pretty, so today I'm sharing some of the challenges I've been facing. I'll walk you through how I'm dealing with these pests in my container garden, show you the damage that they've done so far, and what I've learned along the way. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, first up I'm showing my Brussels sprout plant. A few weeks ago, I started to notice small holes and bites out of the leaves, and upon further inspection, I noticed several small caterpillars feeding on my plant. These caterpillars are called cabbage worms, and they come from eggs that are laid on the plant by cabbage white butterflies, which is what I'm showing here. Cabbage white butterflies can be identified by the black spots on their wings. Male butterflies have one black spot, whereas females, like the one here, have two spots on each wing. They are commonly seen fluttering around the garden from spring through fall and are most active during the day. Cabbage white butterflies are attracted to plants in the Brassica family, like Brussels sprouts, cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower, kale, and radishes, for example. I quickly noticed a few white butterflies constantly flying and landing on my plant, but I didn't think much of it, but within a week, there were several cabbage worms feeding. Cabbage worms can cause significant damage to your plants, chewing holes in the leaves and sometimes devouring entire sections of the plant when left untreated. At first, I was just hand-picking the eggs and caterpillars off one by one, but eventually the infestation got bad enough that I had to take more serious action to save my plant. After doing some research, I decided to try a BTK insecticide, which is an organic pest control option made from a naturally occurring soil bacterium. It specifically targets caterpillars without harming beneficial insects, making it a great solution for managing cabbage worms and other caterpillars. To use this, I followed the package directions and mixed it with water in a spray bottle, and heavily saturated the leaves of my plant, especially the undersides of the leaves where caterpillars like to hide. The best time to apply BTK is in the evening time, as it is broken down by direct sunlight. Also, it's best to apply it when the caterpillars are still young and actively feeding. When caterpillars feed on the leaves sprayed with BTK, the bacterium releases a protein toxin that attaches to their gut lining and disrupts digestion. Within a few hours, the caterpillars stop eating, and then within a few days, they eventually die. The only downfall is BTK needs to be reapplied often, typically every 7 to 10 days or after a heavy rainfall. I've had great success with this. Within a week of spraying, I stopped noticing any caterpillars on my plant and it's starting to look healthy again. Other plants that have been affected by cabbage worms in my garden is radishes, which I just recently planted. Since radishes are also part of the Brassica family, they're just as vulnerable to these pests. I've also been spraying these regularly. Luckily, the cabbage worms are only interested in the leaves and they haven't damaged the radishes themselves, and they're still growing and sizing up nicely. Another plant that is also being eaten by caterpillars is one of my hanging baskets of strawberries. I started noticing these small brown spots all over the leaves, and when I looked closely on the undersides, I found what I think are strawberry leaf rollers, but I'm not 100% certain. Leaf rollers are slender caterpillars that may be light to dark green with a dark head, which is what these look like. They are definitely different from the cabbage worms, as their head is a different color from their body and they move differently too. Adult leaf rollers will create shelters by rolling leaves and tying them together with silk, and then feeding on the leaf tissue inside, which I haven't seen yet, but these are still quite small, and I've read that young strawberry leaf rollers will also feed on unfolded leaves. Regardless of what type of caterpillar they are, I have also been spraying this one hanging basket with BTK to manage and control the spread. Another plant that has shown some signs of pest damage is my leeks. I've been growing these since May without any issues, but recently in the last week or so, I started to notice some damage to the leaves, which I'm showing here. Upon closer inspection, I found a leek moth caterpillar on one of my plants. These caterpillars are the larvae of leek moths, which are small brown moths with white markings. They are considered nocturnal and are primarily active at nighttime. Leek moths target plants in the allium family, like leeks, onions, garlic, garlic, shallots, and chives. They lay their eggs, which hatch into larvae that burrow into the leaves, stems, and bulbs, feeding for 2 to 3 weeks. To identify leek moth caterpillars, look for small yellowish-green caterpillars with pale brown or yellowish-brown heads. These caterpillars can stunt plant growth and cause visible damage such as pinholes and grooves in the leaves. If left untreated, they can weaken the plants and cause them to wilt. To help control the spread, I've also treated my leeks with BTK and removed any leaves that were significantly damaged. The last garden pests I'm going to talk about are slugs and earwigs, which have been targeting my pepper plants. I'm growing 8 different pepper varieties in my container garden this year, but for some reason my hot banana pepper and these 2 yellow bell pepper plants in particular are being eaten by both slugs and earwigs. Each morning I went out to my garden, I kept seeing more and more small holes in the leaves, but I couldn't find any visible pests, so at first I wasn't entirely sure what was causing the damage. I decided to inspect my garden at nighttime using a flashlight, and lo and behold, I found several slugs and earwigs on my pepper plants. Slugs are primarily active at night because they favor cool, damp conditions. You'll rarely see them on your plants during the daytime unless it's very cloudy and damp outside. Earwigs are also most active after dark. During the day, both slugs and earwigs tend to hide in cool, dark, and moist places like under rocks, mulch, or in garden debris. Slug and earwig damage to plants is very similar. You'll see irregular holes in the leaves that are scattered throughout the plant or ragged, uneven edges on the leaves. They may nibble on flowers or soft fruits like peppers and leave behind small holes or scarring. Slugs are also easy to identify by the slimy trails they leave behind. One thing I will mention is that earwigs are not always considered pests, as they also eat aphids, mites, and decaying organic matter, and they can be beneficial in small numbers. But in my case, I observed several earwigs eating the leaves, flowers, and some of the peppers on my plants. Slugs and earwigs are attracted to various plants in your garden, but they may prefer pepper plants because of their soft, tender leaves and stems, which are easy to chew and high in moisture. Unlike some other plants, peppers lack natural defenses like tough leaves or strong odors that might deter pests away. Why they are targeting these 3 pepper plants in particular is a mystery to me, but I'm thankful that not all 8 of my plants are being affected. To control these pests in your garden, one of the easiest things you can do is hand-pick the slugs off your plants, especially if you don't have a large infestation. For earwigs, it's a little trickier because they are fast and hard to capture, so it's more difficult to hand-pick them. Because I was noticing so much damage, I decided to make a few beer traps to capture both. I filled a couple of shallow containers with beer and placed them next to the 3 plants I saw damage on. Slugs and earwigs are attracted to beer because of its strong yeasty aroma that mimics the scent of decaying organic matter, which is what they naturally seek out for food. Once they crawl into the beer traps, they usually can't escape and drown, making beer an effective and natural bait for controlling high populations in your garden. Beer traps do need to be changed every 2 to 3 days as the beer evaporates or after heavy rainfall. I've caught several earwigs and slugs with these traps and have noticed fewer pests and less damage to my plants over time. Well, that's it for this video on pest control. I hope if you guys enjoyed the video, you'll give it a thumbs up. Leave me a comment down below and let me know what pests are impacting your garden. And don't forget to hit subscribe so you don't miss any of my future uploads. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next one.